everybody. Welcome to the Ronline Report. You saw this man on stage at the Boston Pro just last weekend, but he has a story to tell. Some things went down at the show, a little bit of a health scare, but we have some information that could probably help at least a few of you guys out there. Hopefully help save your kidneys, believe it or not. So please welcome the Jamaican tank, Phil Clahar. Hey, Phil.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Thank you, Ron, for having me on once again.
Yeah. So, your wife, Patty, she messaged me and let me know what had happened. I was, when I'm critical of physiques at shows, I never know what's going on. And in this case, there was something going on. You looked really good, but this wasn't the Phil that I saw almost win that Texas Pro, almost win that Tampa Pro. And there was a reason for it, a medical reason. So why don't you tell us what was going on?
Yeah, well, everything was going really, really good. Of course, the flight, I'm not really good with flights over 2 hours. So a lot of the stress started kicking in there before we even get to my blood pressure medicine. The flight, when we landed, I was pretty fatigued. Long walk to get the badges claimed. I think we walked for about a mile in the airport to get the baggage. Once we got on the jitney bus, I think it was, we were just stuck in traffic for almost an hour. Yeah. Because I guess you don't move in front of the airport. People just sit there to wait to pick up their family. Correct. We're not used to that because here the cops move them, Yeah. By the time we got to the room, our air fryer wasn't there. It was just a hot mess. And, I like things to run smoothly, and every show it has. So, of course, my cortisol level is going crazy because I'm yelling, and of course, I'm yelling at Patty. Nothing's right. Nothing's going right. This show is just not going to happen, and all that hot mess was going on. Now, 2 weeks ago, I told George, which is totally my fault. I told him that I was on blood pressure medicine. One of them was alodipine, and one of them was hydrocortisone, which is a diuretic. He was like, "Oh my God, man, why did you tell me so late? I could have made adjustments prior to when we were prepping." But I'm not in my right state of mind anyway, but I've been using these all the way through every single show I've competed in. I've been on this diuretic, which gladly was told to me it was not a good thing for about 4 years straight at 25 milligrams. Wow. It never affected me for any show. I took it because, you read up on it, says, you really can't just stop blood pressure medicine, just cold turkey, So I did my dose, and basically George was trying to battle with the carbs. Now, I've never consumed 1,000 grams, if not more, carbs. Yeah. And Ron, my body wasn't moving. It wasn't moving. The diuretic was basically just sucking up every bit of water. Every time he checked my skin, he said, "Shit, Phil, you're dehydrated. Keep drinking water." He said, "Drink water throughout the night. Every time you pee, to keep drinking water." So at night, actually Friday night, we had some Chinese food, and some other things we had that made my body wake up. Then I did about 5 tablespoons of honey. Quentin was in the room to come take a look at me. It was real late. It was like 12. And everything was popping. Everything was popping. Everything was real good. Woke up in the morning, gone. The diuretic, it made me a little lethargic. And then for the morning show, we just tried to shovel as much carb as possible. It just wasn't working. I was super, super, super flat. I was horrible in the morning. And we got just a little bit better by, going upstairs and shoveling out more carbs. I had like probably 6 or 8 cookies, Chips Ahoy cookies. I think the sugar was going to work. Yeah. But my body just wasn't responding, So when I sat down with a couple individuals, and they explained to me, they said, "You're on what?" And I said, hydrocortisone. They said, "Normally doctors give you about 5 milligrams to possibly 10, but that's for short term. You're saying you've been on this for 4 years." So, they said, "Man, you have kidney damage or kidney failure." And they said, "I'm not being smart, but you could technically be dead." Doing this so long, and with bodybuilding, with the depletion of water and the manipulation of everything, they said, "Man, you're really, really lucky. You should fire your doctor." Yeah. I automatically stopped the diuretic. that day. I stopped it I didn't even take it all on Saturday. I just took the Olodipine. But these diuretics are very, very, very dangerous. I didn't know so much about it because I just do whatever my doctor tells me. He says you need to take blood pressure medication. Of course, I want to live a long life as possible. I'm going to listen. But if it's going to, but the thing has been 4 years and it's not been no adjustment. So my blood pressure has been fine. So, it was just really, really scary going to the show, knowing that and seeing what was happening. Anything could have went south. Like I was telling some of my clients, they were all proud of me. And I'm honest. I said, listen, I've never fought a decision in my life. I was not 100%. I was not the Jamaican 10 from last year. What I mean? But I was not also going to push any other limits and end up not making it out of there either. So, what I mean? Taking the 6th place, I said, listen, it could have been worse, and I got some really, really, really good advice from one of the judges. He took about 10 minutes of his time right after the Akon concert, and we sat down and we spoke, and he gave me some really good advice. So they're expecting my next show to get it together.
So let's back up. Who was this person? We're not giving him any credit. The one who might have saved your life.
Oh, Flex Wheeler.
Flex Wheeler. Come on, because
yes,
he knows a little bit about kidney damage, Flex Wheeler.
Yeah, he was very serious. He kept calling me son. I mean, we had a very serious, and there was no smile on his face. And him and George Farrell's working together. So they said they're going to take good care of me, and we're going to figure out what we need to figure out to get you where you need to be. And then he hit me with a little reality check. He said, listen, you are 47. And he said, time is not on your hands. So if it does come to a point where we sit down and tell you in the future that, you should walk away, would you listen? I said, 100%. My health comes before anything, So he said, okay, so rest up. I have to get my blood work in 2 weeks, get it to George. Right now we're on a cool down process. So we're off everything, recuperating, regenerating. And then we do have 2 shows we're looking at. One of them, we got to find out if it's even a Olympia qualifier. It's the one in Orlando. They just brought back bodybuilding.
Well,
the Europa.
If it has open men in it, it has to be an Olympia qualifier.
Okay, because Patty did email them to find out. Because the purse is pretty small. I think first place is only $2,000. So we just want to make sure, because of course I'm going to do Tampa, and of course I have Texas, and then they, we blessed us with this show in Orlando. So that's a good opportunity. 3 shows that's right here. 2 of them is right here at home, so I don't have to worry about flying. You know what I'm saying? And Texas is really not a long flight. So we're going to make it happen. We're definitely going to make it happen to get to the Olympia this year. I learned my lesson, and actually by being off the diuretics, I feel so much better. I'm a little still tired, and my body's still trying to adjust from, the carb depletions and the carbing up, and with the diuretics, fighting everything. I came home, I was pretty tired, still sleeping. Going to work and trying to get my clients in and stuff like that. But today was one of the days I felt a little bit better. I actually feel full and tight. And I normally never feel full and tight, even eating carbs, me not preparing for a show, because the diuretics every day was just pulling water. You know what I mean? But like I said, I mean, anything could have happened to me, even while training in the gym, being on these diuretics. I mean, I'm very, very blessed. I mean, anything could have happened before the show, and a lot could have happened while I was at the show. We all know how this stuff goes, you know what I mean? So I'm just counting my lucky stars and thanking God that I was able to make it out of there safely.
I'm glad you were. Well, I wouldn't be doing my due diligence if I didn't ask you this. You don't have to answer, but you've already, for 4 years, you've been on this diuretic 25 milligrams a day as part of your doctor's recommendation for keeping your high blood pressure in check. Were you also using at contest time other diuretics on top of that?
No, my last show, what we did was we stuck with the diuretic that was already being used. Now, prior to other shows, yes, other diuretics did come in. I'm not going to name, any coaches, but the coach I had last year, he was smart enough to say, listen, since your body's already on that, we don't need to be adding any other diuretics. But previous to that, yes, my other coaches, even knowing the fact that I was on that, came with like, I think Dactone, and it was something else. And that made me super flat in prejudging. Even for some of the Tampa shows, when I was coming in flat, that was the added diuretic. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, God is watching over me in so many different cases, Ron. You know, I've been in the game for a while, but a lot of people don't understand. Like when I first started bodybuilding in 1999, I was drug free all the way up to about 2000 when I decided to really, you know, go and try to compete, you know, and I had a lot of mistakes as well. You know what I mean? There was times I never experimented with insulin. There was times that I was told to use it and wasn't really directed to how to use it. And you don't even want to know the horror story. I was supposed to be doing 2 IUs. I was doing 20 IUs.
Oof.
Comes I found out 2 IUs twice a day, then I was using 40 IUs.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And when I told my coach at the time, he was like, "What are you crazy? You could be dead." But I never really, a lot of people look at me and think that I've experimented or done a lot of these things, and I haven't. I just got good genetics to where, you know, I build what I build, how I build it, but I wasn't given specific directions because they were assuming I already knew. So I had a lot of close calls, Ron, throughout my times that I never spoke about. A lot of close calls that God has just given me opportunity to just get it right. And he wants me here for my family, you know what I mean? So I woke up. So like I said, you know, being with George, the protocol is so low. I mean, people probably wouldn't even believe how low the protocol is. And I love it because it's the first time I had somebody actually looking towards my health. So I would rather look towards my health, honestly, than to pound tons of whatever it takes to come in crazy peeled. Because when I came in Texas, I was in a lot of stuff, a lot of bad orals, you know what I mean, at very high dosage. You know what I mean? To come from Tampa, that was that dramatic difference coming into Texas. I like the Tampa look. To me personally, the Texas, I pushed limits and I was not doing good in the hotel room. I just showed like I was doing well on stage. My body just kicked in because I love to entertain. You know, I just love to entertain a crowd. But I was not doing good in Texas at that time either, because of just everything. It was bone on bone. Everything was cracking, crickling. You know, Patty kept asking me, "Are you okay?" Of course, I'm lying. Yes, I'm fine. You know what I mean? But in the back of my head, I'm like, "God, please help me make it through this day." You know what I mean? I'm scared I'm going to fall asleep. But one thing we try to do is not let me stay in the rooms alone too long. And that's one thing we do when we're at these shows. And that's key. Always having someone there. Or, you know what I mean? Even like when she stepped out to go do something, she automatically called me and checked in and said, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, you just brought up a really good point, because George Peterson III, if somebody had been with him at the Olympia, if he hadn't been on his own and left in that room the way he was on his own, he might still be with us. There's a very good chance. And unfortunately, nobody was checking on him frequently enough or whatever, and it was too late. Yeah, you know, you bring up a good point with the Texas thing. Is we see the fans, we're partly to blame for the risk that you guys take, because we glorify, we really celebrate and praise the craziest, freakiest, driest, grainy look. When you bring that to the stage, that's, you know, that's when we give you all the props. And if you're off that, like you were just off to Boston, you got assholes like me going, "Oh, Phil's off. I've seen Phil better." But you know, it's a double-edged sword, because when you look that crazy, there's no way you're feeling good. There's no way that you can be healthy. The human body was not meant to be 1% body fat and dried out like a freaking piece of beef jerky.
Yeah.
At 250, 60 pounds, no less. You know.
Well, you know what, the judge, which I'm not gonna mention his name, but the one that said that and gave me really, really good advice, and he's one of the main judges. You know, he said, "Phil, I'll be honest with you, conditioning, we weren't really crazy against it." He said, "Your conditioning wasn't bad. We just needed your glutes to be tighter." He said, "You came in upper body, you came in bigger. But you came in more bigger on your upper body." He said, "Yes, you were smaller last year and you were shredded, but you were more proportioned with the legs and the upper body." So he said, "You put on more size," which I did. I came in at 260. He said, "But it all went to your upper body, you know." But then again, I still couldn't fill out, because now that I'm filled out, now my hamstrings are bigger. Now that I'm able to fill out with some blood and some fluid into the leg, it's crazy how more I filled out. So he just gave me some tips to work on, and it wasn't nothing crazy or dramatic. You know what I mean? He just said, "Work on these two things." He wants me to develop my upper chest just a little bit more, to the point, he said, like it's choking you. But once again, I wasn't able to get full enough, so my chest wasn't, normally when I hit my most muscular, I got crazy striations going through my chest. So if you're not full where the skin is really pulling against the muscle, it's just not going to happen. But he gave me good criticism, and it wasn't something that I have to go home and sit and say, "Oh my God, I got a lot of work to do." You know what I mean? But he did make me feel comfortable. He said, your conditioning was not that bad. You know what I mean? Because I told Patty, I said, for me to, everybody's looking at the Texas show, Texas and Tampa, Texas and Tampa.
Yep.
And I have to, to come and try to even come close to Texas, honestly, which I don't want to do, because it's just a level of unhealthiness. You know what I mean? I just don't want to. I just don't want to do it. I was happy with the Tampa look because the Tampa look still did very good and gave me great placing. I'll get it together. Being off this diuretic is going to be key. And yes, it does make it hard because my supporters, they were great. Everybody was great. Nobody came at me on IG aggressive or anything. Everybody understood. Sometimes you get that backlash of, we thought you were going to do this and thought you were going to do that. But that's why I decided that I should make this video so everybody can understand. I like to really sometimes keep my personal life to myself, but I want everybody to understand that, listen, in my eyes is I hate to feel like I let people down. That's one of my main things because everybody with my age and what I'm doing, even Jay, man, coming up to me and say, yo, we're both the same age. He said, there's nobody defeated for the time yet. You're doing it. Just keep going. Just stay healthy and keep going. So I just felt like even when I come home, and no matter what, my friends and families, acquaintances at home at the gym, in their eyes, I'm always a winner. In their eyes, it's just not going to change no matter where I place. They love how I entertain. They love how I get on the stage and grasp the crowd and have fun. But at the end of the day, me being a pro, there's a lot of things I gotta understand and put into place as I continue to compete. Professionals make money. Professionals don't go into deficits of not making money. You know what I'm saying? So that was another wisdom that Flexible put on me. As a professional, we're in the game to make money.
Yeah.
So I looked at, when I analyzed the placings, at least I didn't place 10th or worse than that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bounce back much, much better. Normally when I'm in my hometown, I am much better and I'm more relaxed.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best underneath my power to bring the best package I could possibly bring. And I'm just glad I'm off these diuretics. I'm just happy I'm off.
So that begs the question. Diuretics are one of the only things. Diuretics and insulin are like basically the two things used in bodybuilding, the only two things that can kill you right away.
Yeah.
It would take years for most people to take a lot of gear and die, but you could screw up with insulin, you're gone. If you don't, if nobody's there if you go into a hypoglycemic coma. And the same thing with diuretics. Obviously, we've lost people to diuretics. Even last year, a couple competitors. That's a very dangerous thing. But it seems like everyone feels like they have to use them to get that extra bit of dryness on stage. Do you think diuretic testing is the answer? I mean, because these are very dangerous compounds. I personally believe that that's where Flex did a lot of damage to his kidneys, was his reliance on diuretics around contests in the 90s. What do you think should be done or could be done?
Well, honestly, tell you the truth, I mean, the IFBB is doing what they do. I mean, I can't really necessarily put myself in a place to say what they should test for or not test for, because at the end of the day, we're all adults. We all should be wise enough, regardless of what our coaches tell us to do, to know our body. And that's another great wisdom that came from Max Charles. We had that conversation in Boston. He said he's a great advocate of when he deals with a coach, they can show him any protocols. No, 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 not doing that, not doing that. But he's been around just like I have. He's been around. We know nobody knows our body better than us. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we just got to make the right choices. Yes, our checkups, our blood work, getting our heart checks and all that stuff, that's really our responsibility as a professional. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's a business. It's a business to make money, right? So we need to do what we need to do. Now, do I believe that, certain things with pump oils or injecting enhancement things in certain body parts to look more massive on stage, that I think needs to be rectified, because that's obvious. Like, it's right there, very, very obvious. But once again, at the end of the day, you know what I mean, the IFBB, we sign off on those contracts for a reason. You know what I mean, the liability. And I just think that it really comes down to us at the end of the day for change, and whatever we as professional athletes have to do to require change, needs to do it. And that's all I can say. We just got to be responsible for ourselves, be wise, and understand that there is life after bodybuilding. And yes, we can get caught up with a lot of everybody wants to see us super big on the off season. You know, the fans always want to see this. And that's why I limit myself with pictures and stuff like that, because it does take over where you think that you must please 100 million strangers. You know what I mean? But we have one life to live, and only one life we have. So I think that we all need to just take responsibility on ourselves. And this was an eye opener for me, to take more responsibility for myself. That's why, you know what I mean, this had nothing to do with George Farrell, regardless of what anybody wants to say. The guy is a great guy. He was under the weather while he was there, and he was still trying to pull every trick he knows to battle this diuretic thing. So he did an awesome job. Quentin, coming in my room, I think it was Saturday evening, because I was losing it. You know what I mean? I'm screaming and yelling in the room, and I'm screaming at Patty, and you know, I'm embarrassing myself. And you know, she called Quentin, and Quentin came there, just sat there for a couple hours, which was good to just make me just compose myself and get myself together. And he just gave me a lot of wisdom talk. And you know, I really thank Dorian Hamilton from HD Muscle for sending them there at the last minute for my support. It's crazy how God works. I told Patty, I said, he sent them at the last minute. And look, we still, I needed Quentin. I needed someone there. And just because he got sent in the last minute, everything just worked out. So everything still ended great. My family was there. My sisters, they drove through all kinds of crazy weather for about, it took them 8 hours to get to Boston from Jersey because of the accidents they had to get in. But there's just a love and support, Ron. I had teenagers that parents flew them to Boston to watch me compete.
Wow.
So that's why, like, I just look at everything and say to myself that, you know what I mean, I'm just very honored for the support I get from the young and the older people, and just the love that IFBB, you know, is giving me, and just taking the time to talk to me. And they want me, they want to put me in that Olympia. I really saw it in the eyes when I was talking to them. I just got to bring what I need to bring, and you know, and get it done.
Cool, man. Well, thank you for sharing this. You know, I think it can help a lot of people, because I guarantee you a lot of bodybuilders are on blood pressure medication, and I bet a lot of their doctors just have them on a diuretic too, without even thinking twice, because that's what they do for everybody. You know, there's a lot of just blanket prescriptions going on in this country, of a lot of different types of medications, because that's big money for the pharmacy companies. So big pharma. But yeah, man, if we helped anybody today, you know, it's all thanks to you and to Flex Wheeler for.
Yes, man. And make sure everybody, like I said, have somebody in the room with them regardless, because we're still depleted. We're not drinking water. Some of us can't drink it at all if we're trying to battle to come back, you know, the night show a little harder to get an extra point. Yeah. So just have it's all about having good people in your circle. Keep good people in your circles. We all know, you know, when you're on top, there's only one way you can go, is down, right? True. And sometimes when you go down, who talks about you anymore? Nobody talks about George anymore. You know what I'm saying? Your friends, if you're not doing well, the close friends was with you when you were making money, they're gone. So just keep your circle small. And that's another thing, Bonac, I just got to give it to him. You don't understand how many people took time to talk to me about Bonac, with the wisdom that he sat down with me and Quentin and really spoke to us about just taking our time and not rushing anything, and everything will come, and family first. That guy there, when I met him at Olympia, nothing but wisdom. I was so happy for him when he pulled it out. He's just a great guy, you know. Steve Kukloch, another guy, great guy. All these competitors are awesome. You know what I mean? Very awesome. I'm very blessed and honored to stand next to these guys and have fun. I just wish them all long life and longevity.
Yeah, it's funny how some of the old timers, they complain that there's no camaraderie in the sport. I go, I don't know where you've been. I see plenty of camaraderie all the time between these guys. Because, you know, regardless, maybe you don't all live in LA anymore like the old days, but you do keep in touch on social media. And you all talk at the shows. It's one big family, you know, dysfunctional family, but it's a family. So cool, man. I want to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, give it the thumbs up, leave some comments below for us. And of course, hit that little bell thing in the corner so you know when new videos are coming out. That's turning our notifications. Phil, looking forward to what you got in store for the rest of the season, especially now that you've got this little medication matter sorted out and you won't be on that all the time anymore. So yeah, as great as you looked last year, I bet you can look, you know, equally good or better this year at some point. And
I'm definitely determined. I'm definitely determined. But once again, too, you got to remember, I started off slow. Chicago, I wasn't that great, right? My placing wasn't that great. So I came into this show better than Chicago. But you know me, as I go on is when I get better. So, and that was one thing I heard Bob Ciccarella say when he was doing the commentating, you know, that Phil is the type of person, once he gets rolling is when he gets better. So let's keep our fingers crossed and let's see what happens as we go.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing the story. Thanks everyone for watching Ronline Report with the Jamaican Tank, Phil Clahar. We'll see you next time.
Peace.